What happens, do you think now, Howard? I mean, do you think this means Anthony Davis stays? What goes through David Griffin's mind right now?
Griff had a philosophy going into this before they even won the lottery, which is, as the new GM, as somebody who was not responsible for the screwed up situation that caused Anthony Davis to ask out in the first place, Griff's philosophy is going in saying, hey, I'm going to do everything possible to convince Anthony Davis to stay. Now, that may be an impossible task, and I think a lot of people believe that the outcome will not change. Anthony Davis will still be traded. But David Griffin has the chance to try to change his mind even before this. This potentially helps, whether it's drafting Zion to play next to Anthony Davis, and that is a linchpin, or whether it's I can flip the Zion pick for a bunch of players who can help Anthony Davis now. All possibilities have to be on the table. And a good NBA team, a smart NBA team, considers everything. And while people might already be howling, saying, how could you trade the rights to Zion Williamson? Everybody can be traded. Yes, that he could be the anchor for a post-Anthony Davis era. But if you think you could keep Anthony Davis, who's already a proven perennial all-star, we don't know if Zion Williamson will be, by the way, but we know Anthony Davis is, and he's still in his prime. If you can find a way to keep him by trading Zion Williamson's draft rights for a bunch of players that can help Anthony Davis win and convince him to stay, you do that. They'll explore everything.
Well, I mean, we can all explore everything. The question is, how does that work? That would be the wildest of all, because that would also be born out of another rumor that's spreading like crazy, that Zion's unhappy about going to New Orleans. He wanted to go to New York. We did see him on screen briefly before the lottery. ESPN had a camera on the screen, and on the stage during the pregame show, and he walked up, and the thing that freaked me out is there was somebody who's putting a ladder out there, or just folding up a ladder while he's walking across the stage, and I saw him tap the Atlanta Hawks podium. Everyone was saying that maybe it was for good luck or something. He wanted to go there, Howard. So what do you think? Is Zion potentially forcing his way out of New Orleans, or wants to, or is thinking about it? What do you think about that possibility?
He can't.
This is it.
He can't. I mean, listen, Anthony Davis has leverage. Anthony Davis is a superstar on effectively an expiring contract. So if you don't trade him and he walks, you're screwed. We already saw the toxic cloud that the Pelicans had over them once that trade request was made public in the first place. So Anthony Davis has leverage. Zion Williamson has no leverage. You're drafted as a rookie, and for better or worse, you have a minimum 3-year guaranteed contract set to the rookie scale, and the team holds an option for the 4th year and for the 5th year. They have his rights for 5 years. Now, if Zion Williamson conveys that he does not want to be there, and the Pelicans feel like they could make a great deal and they want to honor that and trade it, they can. But Zion Williamson can't demand it. He can't not show. There's no holdouts in the NBA as a rookie. You don't show up, you don't get paid. And so, we've seen it before. And yes, many years back, Steve Francis, drafted by the Vancouver Grizzlies, sulked about it, got himself traded, before he ever played there. That was a long time ago in a different era of the NBA. I don't think Zion Williamson can force his way somewhere unless the Pelicans decide that that's what's in their best interest.
So what's the time frame on all this? Because, you'd have to think that if David Griffin, again, the general manager of the Pelicans, determines that Anthony Davis is a lost cause, they're going to have to get him out without people knowing about it, one would think, to try and keep the leverage going. Or if he decides Anthony stays and the best way to build around something right now is to actually call somebody up for Zion, he's got to do this all sort of under the radar. How does this all time frame out, do you think, Howard?
Well, it's the NBA. Almost nothing's under the radar anymore. I mean, very few trades actually happen without something leaking out about the talks. And in this case, there are no secrets anyway, because Anthony Davis's agent, Rich Paul, made the trade demand public months ago, and there's been no indication that they're moving off of that stance. So whatever leverage you wanted to have is gone anyway. Everybody knows what the score is here, that Anthony Davis wants out and that he's on effectively a one-year deal, and so any team trading for him has to have some belief that they can re-sign him. Now, we've seen the Thunder trade for Paul George when everybody said Paul George wanted to be in L.A., and they convinced him to stay. We saw the Raptors last year trade for Kawhi Leonard. That's paying off pretty well right now, even though they knew that he supposedly wanted to go to L.A., and they're still hoping that they can re-sign him. Once David Griffin decides, assuming that this happens, that Anthony Davis does have to be moved, that he's not going to change his mind, then Griff can start having those conversations with people around the league, and any team that's interested. And there will be, by the way, more teams than just Boston and the Lakers. It's not going to be just those two teams that were talked about all this time. There will be other teams, I guarantee it, who will try to make a move, even if there's an indication, well, Anthony Davis wouldn't resign in, say, Denver, or Anthony Davis says he wouldn't resign in, wherever, fill in the blank. All those teams will, I believe, make an inquiry. They'll make an attempt because we've seen this. You trade for Paul George, you take your chances, he might resign. And that is, I think, the lesson for the bold teams is you take your chances and you bet on yourself, you bet on your organization, you be confident about it. And I think that the competition between, 4, 5, 6, however many teams get into it, will give Griffin enough leverage to get the best deal.
For more of The Rich Eisen Show, tune to Audience Channel 239 on DirecTV for free on BR Live or download the Rich Eisen Show app.